I'd like to invite up Graham Astley from Cambridge International Examinations to speak a bit about his work now.
Good afternoon. Graham Astley, I previously worked for the National Strategies in England, where we spent 13 years revising and refreshing the maths curriculum. And in the last 3 years, I've been working with CIE, which isn't solely concerned with examinations and assessment, but is also involved in curriculum renewal and refreshment around the world, and that's been what I've been involved with. I don't think that's my presentation, though. Right. Not quite sure what I'm looking at here. Any ideas? That's not mine. Right. Okay. We'll continue. I've been working largely in countries which were formerly part of the Soviet Union. So this time last week, I was in Mongolia, and if we get anywhere, go for it, straight to there if you would. Can we, how do I make it? I don't run the show from there. We'll get there, don't worry. Okay. Okay. So this time last week, here in a place called Choya, some 350 kilometers south of Ulaanbaatar. Last place you'll get to before you hit the Gobi Desert. Former Soviet Air Force base and being transformed into a new town. And just to the left of the big blocks there, there's a small squat green building which is a brand new school. And within the school, a beautifully equipped IT facility. Could not think of anywhere more remote, but there it is. This has been provided by the German branch of a charity called World Vision, which I believe is based in the US. Those computers have been there for 18 months and they have been hammered. They are so heavily used you would not believe. At the moment, it's the school holiday, which is the only reason it's not piled high with kids. And what are they doing? They're learning Microsoft Office skills. They're using Excel for modeling mathematics. They're using the internet for research. Just the kind of things that you'll see all around the world, I dare say. Not a brilliant picture, but again, a mathematics classroom and a line of computers on the back wall. So the point I'm trying to get towards here is that actually it's not the equipment that's necessarily the issue. Moving 480 kilometers away, I went to a primary school in a tiny town called Avarhir, and this was what was available to primary school kids, just two terminals there, which they used in lieu of a library. They didn't have a library in the school, but these were used for internet research variously. And I was intrigued, and I asked, where's the kit, where's the boxes, what's driving these things along? And they took me round the other side of the wall into the staff room where all the kit was. And every teacher in the school has their own booth with a computer workstation there. And I kind of questioned why every teacher gets one computer, but the kids have just got the two terminals to share between the lot of them. And they looked at me somewhat surprised and said, well, it's far more important that the teachers have got computers to do their preparation and research. And that made me think, you know, that's a different take on the situation to, well, certainly in England. Okay, moving around the world. This is Kazakhstan. Again, post-Soviet situation, but still using the old Soviet maths curriculum. which in its day was very, very thorough and very comprehensive, but its day was possibly around 1985. It hasn't been refreshed and renewed since then, so there are huge gaps. There's no mention, for example, of the use of calculators. And it kind of makes you think, you know, that there's urgent work to be done there, but there's a great energy and motivation to modernise and update the curriculum, and that's what we're engaged with. Although it is perhaps more in the line of bringing the curriculum up to date in the form of a curriculum that you would recognise in your schools already, rather than the more innovative, exciting curriculum we've been discussing today. Moving on yet again to Macedonia, again post-Soviet, again very, very well equipped. Every desk for every school child in Macedonia has a computer terminal on it. Now, it's not quite as brilliant as you'd think, because the terminals are ganged, so there are 8 terminals being run from one tower, but somehow the technology takes care of all that, and that's the level of provision that they have. And there's interesting stuff going on as well. And there's a language barrier when I'm working with them, and I'm not absolutely sure what was being required of the students, but I believe that they were being asked to try and discover the way to, the function that would create a tangent to a circle of a given size at a given location. They're using GeoGebra to experiment with that. And I thought it was quite innovative. Probably computer assisted rather than computer led, but even so, very interesting stuff. And just zooming around the world, school in Nepal, where interestingly they didn't bother to lock the doors because there was absolutely nothing inside the school other than empty rooms. Everything was moved in and out every day, and there was a laptop available, but often there wasn't the electricity to make it work. Jaipur in India, some of you will recognise the Jantar Mantar observatory from the 17th century. And again, full of surprises. Probably the most lavishly equipped school I've ever met in my life in that city, run by a religious charity. And again, full to the brim with kit and equipment, but a very antiquated curriculum behind it. So what's all this about? Well, I just want to take you back to Choya with my friend in his IT suite, because I asked him about the access that kids had to other technology. And I asked, did his students have access to smartphones? And I took mine out to show him, and he said, no, we have better than that. And he told me that every secondary student would have a smartphone. And this represents an enormous commitment to their kids, because we're talking about a month's salary for the average family to be able to provide their secondary school student with a smartphone. But he was absolutely convinced that every student would have one. And I asked what they use them for, and largely they use them for playing games over the internet and playing these games with people from other parts of the country and even different countries. And I thought to myself, well, there's these kids, and what are they doing? They're communicating, they're interacting, they're problem solving. It may be not within the maths curriculum, but if they were doing all those kind of things within the maths curriculum, I'd be very impressed. I asked if they had access to tablet computers, and I was told no, the students don't think these are cool. So I don't know, is that an issue or not? Should we be looking at making better use of smartphone type technology if they've got access to it? And the teachers, yeah, every teacher would have a smartphone. So we're talking about somewhere that is possibly about as remote as I've ever been in my life, and yet everybody is connected potentially. You know, are we missing a trick here? Is there something we ought to be doing to include the technologies that are available to us already? So returning to the original question about different countries, different maths. Well, I've seen different maths, but actually I've found maths to be the way to communicate. So often when my skills in Mongolian or Kazakh fail me, I can make myself understood by drawing a diagram or sketching a curve or something like that, and we can all nod and we can agree. So it is the same math, but it appears differently at times. Different countries? Well, they are different countries. They've got their heritage, they've got their culture, which they want to preserve, but they're also part of a connected world where students can exploit the technology to be able to communicate and share ideas all around the globe. So different countries, I'm not sure. Is there a problem out there? Well, if there is, it's somewhere between the notion of different cultures and different maths. And I personally believe it's something about approaches to learning and pedagogies. But that's just my own personal opinion. Okay.